against Chriso here, as we see both players flipping their Pokemon, and Fatih doesn't even go first, which could have given him the advantage of having a turn 1 Trevenant, and then Chriso couldn't play. For example, this Ultra Ball he just put into play, and then Fatih could just lock your opponent down, not allowing him to play the Ultra Ball, not allowing him to draw the cards with Shaman he needs. However, Chriso went first, which was very important.
And Chriso also has access to that Manaphy on his bench. You can see it right now. This will also be a possibility. It's healing off so much damage that it would be important for Fatih to hide that Manaphy from hitting the bench for Chriso as long as possible. Fatih is even starting with a Shaman EX, so this is really, really not his ideal start.
Yeah, exactly. Fatih, if he doesn't go first, he just needs to have Pumpkaboo active and then either attach an energy to Pumpkaboo or play the Dimension Valley. However, if you if you start with Shaman EX, you have to attach an energy to Shaman, then retreat, and then you have to play the Dimension Valley. But as already mentioned, the stadium cards in this matchup in both decks really need their stadium cards, so none of them wants to play their stadium first, because if they both get all their 4 stadium, the person who played his stadium first will have it out of the game at the end.
Exactly, and it's getting even worse for Fatih Judge coming from Chriso after he's played a lot of item cards already, and he's saying, Fatih, you know what, your deck is meant to shut down my item cards. I have my own Seismitoad, I'm going to do that same thing to you.
Yeah, exactly. If Fatih isn't able to pull out the Trevenant here, Chriso can just, as long as he gets either an energy switch or a water energy card, he can also get a supporter, so the chances for Chriso to draw the water energy and then attack with Quaking Punch here next turn are very high, and Fatih doesn't have the best chances of getting his Trevenant here. However, they're still very good.
Yeah, Fatih knows he's not the favorite in this matchup. However, he knows also that if a player is able to pull it off in a matchup like this, it's going to be him. So let's see if he can do something out of this very first turn.
Yeah, we see he got a very strong hand, 2 Trainer Mail, and Professor Sycamore hits the Level Ball with one of his Trainer Mail. Level Ball only has Phantom as a target, but you really need your Phantoms very early, so Level Ball is a great card in this deck. We saw Level Ball usually played in deck like Vespic Queen, which also can use the Level Ball for Vespic Queen itself because it only got 90 HP. However, no matter which setup deck you play, searching your deck for your basic Pokemon is always a big advantage.
And he needs it right here, as he wasn't able to start with it, as we've seen him on stream over and over again. He was lucky enough to start with a Phantom right away. Now he has to get rid of Shaman EX and then put how's it called again? Phantom again, yes. Active, thank you. And the really issue here with this setup is that if he wants to retreat that Shaman, he might have to invest Psychic Energy. And if he invests Psychic Energy, he will need a Dimension Valley. And that means there are more rough seas left than Dimension Valleys.
Exactly. So Fatih usually doesn't want to play Stadium down. However, if he's forced to, well, he won't not do it, because even though you are forced to play the first Stadium, you still want the item lock no matter what. This is the most important thing. Fatih could get one of his only float, the one-off Floatstone he has in his deck, and then retreat Shaman with this. This is what Fatih's preferred strategy would be. However, he can't risk not getting it, so he actually attached it to the Pumpkaboo. Let's see what the rest of Fatih's hand looks like.
That's a Professor Sycamore right there, so he really needs that Floatstone to shut down the item cards. He does not get it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he got the Floatstone, and that seemed like a kind of risky play, where he's just putting his Shaman active and then set up Phantom. However, you could also say, okay, if I don't get my energies to the Phantom, Fatih knows that Silent Fear won't deal a lot of damage. So he's just trying to charge up one of his Trevenants being able to Tree Slam, which deals 60 damage to the active Pokemon. Manaphy has 120 HP. Manaphy is the one Pokemon Fatih wants to knock out. Fatih already won this matchup. He knows what he has to do. He needs the attack Tree Slam dealing 60 damage to Manaphy and his Bursting Balloons, which deals 60 damage after it got damage from Manaphy. So in the perfect world from Fatih, he has Trevenant with Bursting Balloon active. Chriso attacks it, gets 60 damage, and then Fatih is able to knock out the Manaphy with Tree Slam.
Yeah, and Chriso is thinking, as long as Fatih is not set up, I can disrupt him using my Judge, make it even even more difficult for Fatih to get out his Trevenant, limiting his hand down to 4 cards again, while Chriso has access to Shaman, bringing him back to 6 cards. And we get a good look here. He has another Water Energy in hand, so he can start with the Quaking Punch. And
yeah, Chriso also had the energy switch, so he might have went for the Grenade Hammer and then take 2 easy prize cards very early. However, he decided, well, I'd rather use Quaking Punch. As long as Fatih doesn't have Trevenant, I'm fine. I just played Judge, and Quaking Punch Judge is a very strong strategy. We see in Fatih's hand, there are only items, energy, Trevenant Break, nothing he can really play. So, Chriso's strategy paid off.
Very interesting to see. He decided to not attach the Psychic Energy to Shaman to retreat it. He could have used that to retreat and then use Ascension. However, he did not want to do that, as it is always a possibility for Chriso to go with Grenade Hammer and that Trevenant would go down in just 1 hit.
Yeah, exactly. Fatih doesn't want to sacrifice any of his important Trevenants, so he tries to set up a break and then start with Tree Slamming later on.
Very sound strategy, as Grenade Hammer together with Fighting Fury Belt deals 140 damage. Trevenant Break having access to 160 hit points. However, there's a Lysander, and this is the point where Fatih says no.
Fatih had 3 Dimension Valley priced.
I can't deal with this.
Oh, this explains everything. Like, not having access to the Dimension Valley didn't even give him the turn 1 possibility to draw into it. He has 1 Dimension Valley in his deck and 1 Float Zone, so attaching the Psychic Energy to Pumpkaboo to Phantom actually made more sense, because he had 1 out anyways.
That's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. And also, Chriso was able to knock out the Trevenants very early, the moment Fatih was, and Fatih knew his hand. It wasn't looking great. So, the moment Chriso got rid of the 1 important Trevenant Fatih had, then the game basically was over.
Usually if you think about, there's a Seismitoad, there's a Trevenant, this might go on for ages, right? But not so much here. Fatih knows that if I want to fight back, I will have to have a perfect start. And this is the game to do it, because this is the only game in the final at the German Nationals in which he is allowed to go first. This is so important to have his Trevenant out immediately, to have an explosive start, as funny as it sounds, for a Trevenant deck. But this is what he needs to actually respond to a lot of the measures that Chriso has available to him, healing off his own Pokemon. So Fatih knows he's behind, but he also knows how to do it and how to make a comeback.
Exactly. Chriso still is in the favored position, I would say. He has all the Russies, he has Manafis, but Fatih, as an experienced player, knows how to get around everything. As long as he gets the turn 1 Trevenant, he is fine. We're looking at his hand. He got Dimension Value, he got 2 Ultra Ball, so he can go very aggressive with Shaman to grab his Wally and then go immediately into Trevenant, turn 1.
And Chriso can almost smell victory. He is so close to the title of becoming the German national champion. He has a nice matchup. He has game number 1. All he needs is another win in the upcoming 2 games.
Yeah, being 1-0 ahead in the finals of a national championship in a matchup which is actually favored for you is always a big relief. He knows, okay, even if I lose this game, then at least I can start the next one. So now he has like 2 chances of having a good starting hand, getting everything he wants out. And yeah, Fatih is starting the game. Doesn't look like he got the Wally yet, so he will start trying to get it out as fast as possible.
Another mulligan is, of course, always helpful, giving him access to another card. In this case, it was Trevenant. Of course, he would like to see that from his Wally. He decides to go with an Ultra Ball, discarding an Ultra Ball and Judge in the process, and now counting all the outs that he has to make sure that this Phantom is actually evolving in the very first turn right now.
Yeah, discarding the Ultra Ball seems kind of strange to me, because he just needs the Wally now. So he wants to use setup for as many cards as possible, and then if you used setup, then you would like the option to go for another Shaman. But he has very good resources in his hand. He got the Trevenant, you got the Trevenant Break, he has Judge, Dimension Valley. He doesn't want to waste everything he has. Yeah, now he's thinking about, well, if I don't get turn 1 Trevenant, is it so bad? Or will I lose even if I get the turn 1 Trevenant when I don't get my resources? And we see Ultra Ball not even for a Shaman X, so he's giving up the option to go for a turn 1 and just play supporter turn 1. Here we see the Judge. And as Chriso had the 3 energy cards, and as long as Chriso doesn't get a very strong hand afterwards, well, there's still a good chance of Fatih winning.
Yeah, sometimes you have to switch it up, and in this case Fatih realized, okay, I could go and discard all these resources I have in hand, but he decided, well, Judge is also a nice option to go with. I have 2 Phantoms, so there's still a turn 2 for me to evolve Trevenant, even though he really wanted to have a Trevenant active right now. But he said the chances are just not high enough to make it worth it, so I might as well just go with the Judge, disrupt my opponent, hope that he doesn't draw much, and then set up a Trevenant second turn.
Yeah, and here we see Fatih's hand. It actually looks decent. He still needs to find something, because turn 1 Quaking Punch, even though unlikely, is still a possibility for Chriso. We are seeing his hand. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look like turn 1 Quaking Punch. Actually, it doesn't even look like getting something out, really. But Fatih is in the position where he needs to be aware of this. If my opponent uses Quaking Punch, I don't want to lose the game. So he needs to stay in the run, in the cycle, and get Ultra Ball for Shaman EX after he played the Judge.
I just like the fact that he is at no point discarding any dimension value whatsoever. He knows he will need these in the late game. As soon as Rough Sea is hitting the table, he will have to have a dimension value to counter it as soon as possible. So he finds a Bursting Balloon. This is nice. He's also playing a Versus Seeker in anticipation of a Quaking Punch incoming and passing the turn. Oh,
and Chriso got the Ultra Ball from top of his deck. This is not the first time. He actually got a bad hand after Judge and then just get the Ultra Ball from top of his deck. It's already happened in the top 8 match, where he also got judged in the first turn twice and managed to pull the game around. Fatih, anticipating Chriso's first turn Quaking Punch, attached the Bursting Balloon to his active Phantom and played VS Seeker for a Judge. Usually you want to save your VS Seeker for different cards. Maybe he gets the card he wants from top of his deck and doesn't want to play the Judge anymore, or he gets a Battle Compressor, or when Chriso plays his Judge, then the VS Seeker would be in Fatih's deck, and then he would have the choice between any supporter he wants. Later on, however, if you know your opponent might attack with Quaking Punch, the VS Seeker might become a card that you can't even play. So it was a very good turn by Fatih. He just made sure he won't lose.
Yes, and Fatih was hoping, please no Shaman, please no Manaphy. Well, here they are, the whole crew's here.
Yeah, Chriso got with his Hooper EX 3 Pokemon X. He got Manaphy for Retreat, a second Seismitoad EX, and Shaman. He would prefer a second Manaphy, because Manaphy only heals damage from your bench Pokemon, and like we already mentioned, Bursting Balloon can be quite hard to deal with, combined with a Tree Slam. So he needs 2 Manaphy and turn them around, cycle them, attack with the 1 Manaphy, retreat it, and then attack with the second Manaphy so they don't get knocked out, even though there is no Rassis in play.
Yes, and Fatih now, considering playing a Team Flare Grunt, he might think, okay, with all the water energy that Chriso is playing, I can have 1 more turn of items if I discard this water energy now. Now evolving into Trevenant, that makes it hard for a turn 2 Quaking Punch, as he's attaching another water energy, and without access to item cards, there's no way for Chriso to attach a second one.
Yeah, from Chriso's first turn, Fatih could already tell that he has not Max Elixir Energy Switch in his hand. So evolving into Trevenant now seals Chriso in this turn, where he could just attach an energy and end his turn. Now here we see the first Stadium card hitting the field from both players. Fatih is the first one who kind of has to put it down. He also attaches an energy card. He just needs maybe a break, maybe another Phantom, but at the moment the field looks very fine. He got basically everything he needs of that setup ability. The break, another Phantom, he got Trevenant, and he plays VS Seeker for another Flare Grunt. So now he's slowing down Chriso. He can't get a lot of energy cards into play, and this is what Fatih's strategy looks like at the moment, just running over your opponent. Well, let's see if it pays off.
Very fine play there, also by Chriso, not discarding his Rough Seas. He has 2 of them in hand. He has access to a Professor Sycamore, but he says, I can be very patient here. There's no need to rush, even though there are a lot of Team Flagrant thrown at me. I can always attach to Seismitoad, can take a lot of damage, and then heal it off with Rough Seas. So we'll see a Rough Seas hitting the table right now.
Yeah, just by playing the Rassis, he says, okay, your attack didn't do anything last turn.
Well, Shaman will still
Yeah,
take
Shaman and
damage.
Hooper will stay here with the damage. However, if only these two get knocked out, it's not a real big deal. However, Hooper is weak to Tree Slam, so it gets actually 120 damage, and also Shaman X only has 110 HP. So if Fatih uses Silent Fear again, then he can take two Pokemon EX out with his Tree Slam attack. So as long as Chriso doesn't get all of his energies in play, which kind of is prevented by the ability from Trevenant, then Fatih still has a good chance of just taking over the game very quickly.
Yeah, so Hooper EX investment by putting it on the bench comes with a little bit of a liability. It's bringing out a lot of Pokemon EX, however, it is a target for Lysander, for Silent Fair, for any damage being dealt, and also to Lysander out, and maybe very tough to retreat later on. So these are a couple of opportunities that Fatih might use later on in the game.
Yeah, so you saw he had Judge and Dimension Valley in his hand. However, there's Rassis in play. Why doesn't he play the Dimension Valley? The thing is, his Trevenant Break got 2 energy cards anyway, so he knows he will be able to attack with Silent Fear. And as already mentioned, one time Silent Fear opens to a few Tree Slams to knock out Shaman and Hooper.
Yeah, he knows that this Silent Fear that I'm doing right now is putting damage on Shaman and Hooper. So this one is going to pile up very soon, and the Rough Seas is only going to heal off the damage of the Seismitoad and the Manaphy. So after that, as you said, there's only 2 Tree Slams away, and the knockout on Manaphy to actually be able to draw all the 6 prize cards. So if Chriso is not able to get rid of Hooper EX and Shaman, this is actually a problem for him.
Yeah, so he attacks with Silent Fear, everything gets a bit damage. Also played VS Seeker for Flagrant, so he anticipates again Chriso using the Quaking Punch, but this time Chriso benched another Shaman, so this could become a problem later in the game when Fatih just consistently starts attacking with Silent Fear every turn and knock out Hooper, Shaman, and the other Shaman to draw all of his 6 prize cards. We know that Chriso plays AZ, so he could get rid of this situation by taking either Shaman or Hooper back to his hand once it got a lot of damage counters on it. But against item lock decks, it's always very hard to get the one supporter you need, because you aren't allowed to play VS Seeker, and you're not allowed to play Trainer Man.
You know, this is actually really, really big, because now that Chriso has benched this Shaman EX, it means that Fatih can actually win this without getting rid of the Rough Seas. So now Chriso has put himself in a situation where he has to find an AZ eventually, so he has to accelerate. He has to also discard resources now with Professor Sycamore. There was also Rough Seas amongst them. And now Fatih is putting on pressure on all those benched Pokemon, so Fatih can actually pull this one off here.
Yeah, I really like the play by playing Flagrant instead of Lysander this turn, because he just needs to prevent Chriso from attacking with Grenade Hammer. With the Grenade Hammer could knock out the Trevenant already because it got 30 damage. So he needs to get rid of that 1 energy card. Chriso goes for another Quaking Punch. Now there is no easy way for Fatih to prevent him attacking with Quaking Punch with Grenade Hammer again. However, he takes knockout on that 1 Shaman if he goes for Silent Fear again.
And now if he Lysanders out that Hooper EX, for example, I don't see an AZ in Chriso's hand, so he has to top deck into it. Or otherwise, there's almost no way for him to really reverse the situation immediately. He will have to attach a water energy to Hooper to retreat it, so no Grenade Hammer coming in, while Fatih is able to set up another Trevenant Break on his bench.
Yeah, that's a great play. He puts the Hooper active, now it's kind of locked with its... Well, the triggers don't really matter because of the Manaphy on the bench. So, did they put damage on Hooper EX?
It's 90 damage. I believe it should be 120 damage, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, the Hooper and Shaman both had the same amount of HP the whole time, so I'm pretty sure once the Shaman got 120 damage, I will just tell the judges.
So, Shaman, of course, the second Shaman is correctly with 60 damage counters, and the judges noticed that. Thanks to David. So 120 damage on that Hooper EX, and that means there is a clock on that Hooper.
Yeah, exactly. Just there is a clock on Chriso's whole field. Just 2 more Silent Fear attacks, and the game is already over. Fatih takes knockout on Hooper and Shaman EX on the same time. With Chriso not being able to get rid of that damage, he really needs the AZ.
And there is a second Psychic Energy, so that's huge for that Trevenant Break. So even if a Grenade Hammer is coming and knocking out that active Trevenant Break, there's again a second one that could pull it off. So this is the last chance. There's an AZ, or it's a game for Fatih.
Yeah, exactly. He can't even attack with Manafi at this point because of the trainer lock. He can't use. Yeah, he scoops. Okay, he scoops.
That's it.
The thing is, because of the trainer lock, he can't play Energy Switch, and he can't play Max Elixir. So he can't charge the Manafi, which could get rid of the damage from Shaman EX. And from this game, you saw how important the Manafi actually can be, and why Fatih managed to get this far in the tournament with his deck list using Team Flagrant to disrupt your opponent's energy cards, which isn't too common.
This is just amazing. I mean, I was not expecting Fatih to make a clean comeback here in game number 2. He was starting, and again, it wasn't the perfect start. There was no Trevenant first turn, and I was fearing that this was a very, very easy game 2 for Chriso. However, Fatih realized that I might have a chance here if Chriso is struggling to get the resources that he needs. In this case, he was forced to play Hooper EX, and that was all that actually Fatih needed. The second Shaman on the bench sealed it for him. He knew what to do, and there was no AZ on Chriso's side. So this is it. We're going into the very final game.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the game, you see Fatih played flawlessly. Whenever he had the option to do anything, he always took the right route to turn the game around. Turn 1, he didn't went for the volley, he went for Judge. Because he knew, well, I need a bit of luck anyway, so I need to judge my opponent. If he doesn't get what he needs, I'm fine. And still, even if he gets Ultra Ball, then there's a Shaman on Chris's bench, and I can knock out this Shaman to take the win on my side. Then he also always played VS Seeker to get the Flagrant in his hand, to then prevent Chriso from using the Grenade Hammer. Fatih did the perfect job of preventing Chriso to use Grenade Hammer. He light-sended the Hooper in the right turn. If he switched the order of any of these, it could have taken a complete different turn, and this is what you are going to expect from a finals at a national championship.
This is just wonderful to watch this match. We have a beautiful deck here by Chriso. Very, very good call here today. It put him all the way to the final. Great plays by him. And Fatih knowing exactly what he has to do against either matchup. Everything that is thrown against him, he knows how to respond to it. And now that Chriso is starting with a Seismitoad EX, which is nice, he's also benching a Hooper EX, so Fatih must like that.
Yeah, that might become in the game the same scenario as in game 2, where Chriso again benches one Shaman EX and a Hooper. So if Fatih gets everything running, if everything turns out like in the first game, we might actually see Fatih winning the game here.
Yes, and Chriso has no other choice. I mean, his hand is not too great. He has to take a Shaman EX. He has to take this investment, but he's thinking twice about benching a second Shaman EX. I'm sure about that. So he's benching the Seismitoad. He's also benching the Manaphy, so that's all important to him. Attaching an energy, looking at the other item cards he has to maximize the draw power by setup for that Shaman, for example, using the Strainer's Mail.
Yeah, this turn we might see a complete different approach from Chriso, which would be, well, maybe I should attack more with Manafi and heal my damage so I don't get knocked out very early, rather than using Quaking Punch and later trying the Grenade Hammer. Now he saw more things from Fatih's list. He is aware of him using a lot more disruption than more Trevenant players do. He also knows, okay, Fatih has a different game plan. It's not using a Tree Slam and then maybe knock me out with combination of Tree Slamming and using the Bursting Balloon. However, Chriso again is just trying to Quaking Punch the opponent, lock down item cards, and then go for a big knockout with Grenade Hammer. We see Chriso's hand actually looks very interesting. He is trading off between playing Judge and Shaman, and this time he doesn't put the Shaman down. He just plays Judge, shuffles the Shaman back to his deck because he knows Shaman is a vulnerability. Shaman is one of the reasons why I might lose. So just he plays Judge. Maybe Fatih doesn't get what he needs. However, Fatih only needs an energy card to use his Scansion. But even if he does, then Chriso just attacks an energy card and got the Grenade Hammer. This combination of using Max Elixir and Energy Switch in the first turn onto the Seismitoad is a very strong turn 1.
It's a very, very powerful start by Chriso, and he still has access to more item cards, trying to attach even more water energy. He doesn't really need it at this point because a Grenade Hammer is happening the second turn if he has access to another water energy. And Fatih must be thinking, well, I hope I will draw something good out of these 4 cards here.
Fatih can still get a bit lucky and then have like Trevenant and Flagrant. With Team Flagrant, he could prevent Chriso from just using Grenade Hammer by attacking. As we see, Chriso preventing from item lock, which we saw Fatih playing too. We have both players having the option to item lock. Fatih is kind of forced to go into it. However, Chriso it's a great option to maybe disrupt your opponent, maybe put him in the position where his hand cards aren't looking that great. So yeah, both aren't really lock decks. Both are trying to deal a lot of damage, but in different ways.
Fatih is now looking to use a battle compressor, giving him access most likely to a couple of useful supporter cards that he's going to discard this way. Maybe Wally being one of them. He doesn't need them anyway because he's now going second and can always attack with Ascension if he has the energy or the Dimension Valley to go with that. At the same time, I saw there are 2 Phantoms in his hand, so he's most likely going to bench one and use one for the discard for the Ultra Ball. He needs to have a Shaman EX right now to allow him to draw more cards, and he goes with the Rosic, the Team Flare Grunt, and also the Wally to discard with the Battle Compressor, and here's the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, Battle Compressor is an interesting card in every deck. Night March uses it to discard their Night March Pokemon and deal more damage very fast, but a lot of decks are just using it to get rid of some cards you don't need in certain matchups. Fatih uses the Battle Compressor to have a bit higher chance of having in the first turn a Wally, because then he can Battle Compressor for Wally and then draw into a VS Seeker, and as long as he gets a VS Seeker, then he can evolve turn 1 into Trevenant because he gets the Wally from Battle Compressor.
So a couple of very useful cards here on Fatih's hand. He's found his Dimension Valley, so that means a Trevenant is happening if he wants to. There's also a Bursting Balloon, so maybe Chriso will think twice about attacking here. On the other hand, he had to discard a Trevenant already, so there's one more Trevenant in hand, 2 Trevenant left in the deck, all in the prize cards, and he's discarding another one.
Yeah, Fatih plays one Super Rod and also Sacred Ash, so he has the option to just shuffle them back if he wants to. Knowing this, he rather discards these than the one supporter he really needs. He's looking through his deck, checking his prize cards, maybe going to take a Shaman EX. We don't know, most likely it's going to be Shaman because he had Level Ball in his hand, but rather discarded it than playing. Here we see him dropping down the Shaman, using setup for more cards. However, there's still the risk of drawing into a lot of Trevenants, and then he couldn't use Escansion. That would be terrible, but as we already mentioned, the chance of this happening is very, very low.
Yeah, I think he might be looking for the supporter he needs, or maybe a Versus Seeker to give him access to the Team Flare Grunt. He was nodding, so I think it was the Versus Seeker indeed that he was looking for. Also, energy is very huge, so you can attach that to the benched Phantom, already preparing for another Trevenant next turn. So first of all, Sacred Ash, both Trevenant, another Phantom back into the deck, as you said.
Yeah, this is a great turn for Fatih. He got the VS Seeker, which he can spend on most likely Team Flare Grunt. He also got the Trainer Mail, so he can play this before Quaking Punch goes through, if it even goes through, or because Chriso can still use his Grenade Hammer most likely. And now he goes into Trevenant. He also got an energy card to attach to his Phantom on the bench. So a lot of great draws here. Fatih looks like he's taking the Super Rod. Yeah, he got the Super Rod from the Trainer Mail, just maximizing his chances of drawing into whatever he needs.
So here we see it's going to be the Team Flare Grunt most likely discarding one of the Water Energies. So most likely no Grenade Hammer next turn. Psychic Energy attached to the benched Phantom and Ascension.
Yeah, going Ascension now. If Chriso really wants to attack with Quaking Punch, he needs to also take damage from the Bursting Balloon, and that's something you really want to prevent. So I think Chriso is still, he has a great board position, just having the Pokemon EX he needs. He has a few energy cards. He also got Supporter. We see what he draws. He got an energy. He got a Z, which was one card he missed in the last game. So he'll just heal some damage, get off, and interestingly enough, he puts down the Russies before they forgot to discard the Bursting Balloon, never mind. He puts down the Russies before he took damage. So he takes the risk of it being knocked out by a Dimension Valley. However, he also gets higher chances of drawing into other cards, like energies that he needs later on.
Yes, so he decides Rough Seas, maybe the battle of the different stadium cards is not as important here, so might as well just drop that right now. However, now Fatih's going a little bit aggressive here, discarding his Psychic Energy and also the Super Rod in favor of Professor Sycamore, finding another Trevenant. No Trevenant break though.
Yeah, now it seems kind of weird that Fatih took the Super Rod because he knew he had the Seeker, which he is going to spend on Team Flareground, and he also only has Professor Sycamore in his hand, so he knew he's most likely going to discard the Super Rod anyways. But however, he still needed some cards. He doesn't have the Trevenant break yet, which is something he really needs to attack. Also, Chriso's little gamble by putting the Russies into play before Fatih's turn didn't really pay off because he got the Dimension Valley. Now Chriso isn't able to heal a lot of damage, and if Fatih is able to take down this Seismitoad EX, Chriso will also lose a lot of energy cards, and once the item lock is out, it's very hard to get the energies back.
Now Chriso's thinking about the right course of actions here. He decides it is going to be the attachment for the Seismitoad EX. So potentially a Grenade Hammer for the knockout on that Trevenant. And I thought he would save his Shaman EX, but now there's one benched again.
Well, this is the first time we see him having so many energies kind of early. And he plays Lysander for another Trevenant. This is something we don't see happen too often because Lysander against Trevenant is usually against something that is not Trevenant to play item cards. But the active Trevenant has 30 damage and the Trevenant Break has 160 damage. Grenade Hammer deals 130 damage, so the if the active Trevenant is going to evolve into Trevenant Break, then he just needs to attack with Grenade Hammer again to knock it out. So Fatih again is a very hard spot. It doesn't seem like he got the good got setup he wanted. Last turn he was kind of greedy by attaching the energy to the active Trevenant and then going for Dimension Valley and Trevenant Break. He didn't manage to find the Trevenant Break, and now he struggles to knock off the Seismitoad EX.
Yeah, if you've paid attention in high school, you notice that is perfect math on Chriso's side. He's going to be able to knock out that Trevenant regardless if it's going to evolve into a break Pokemon. On Fatih's side, however, if he is able to deny another Rough Seas incoming, and if he can attack using Tree Slam, and maybe also find one of his Bursting Balloons, it might make the decision of attacking for Chriso a little bit more difficult because it could take down that Seismitoad in the process. But at the same time, Fatih has to make sure that there's a steady flow of Trevenant, so he will really have to find a Phantom right now.
Yeah, exactly. In Fatih's discard pile, we see the Super Rod and Sacred Ash. There are also two Trevenant there, so he needs a Bursting Balloon in this turn to maybe knock out the Seismitoad EX. However, it doesn't seem like he really got a great setup. We see him playing VSC for Professor Sycamore, and it looks like he has Trevenant in his hand, so he doesn't really want to discard it. But if he plays Judge, all of his Shamans are on his bench. The chance of now getting the Phantom he needs are kinda low.
So what do we need? We need a Phantom, we need a Bursting Balloon, and we need Chriso not to draw Rough Seas. That's what it takes for Fatih to remain into a commanding position here in this match. Otherwise, Chriso is in a very commanding position to become our newest German national champion.
Yeah, exactly. Here we see the cards, and it doesn't look great. At least he got the Bursting Balloons, so maybe Chriso decides to not attack with Grenade Hammer this turn, because otherwise his Seismitoad would get knocked out. We don't see the Rough Seas on Chriso's hand, so there's still a good chance. Fatih placing damage counter on not Water Pokemon, which is very smart, because then Chriso can get rid of the damage. Also, the HP on that Pokemon are perfect for Fatih's math, because if you have 110 HP, you get 20 damage, then you have 90 HP left. This is a multiple of 30. So then with a few Silent Fears, he might be able to knock out. However, Chriso gets his Xerosic, gets the knockout on Trevenant, and at this point, I don't see Fatih recovering from this.
This is huge. Well done by Chriso now. He took the risk of benching another Shaman. I was about to say this opens the door of opportunity for Fatih to come back, but now look at this body language. Fatih knows this match could be all but over now.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Here we see the Phantom, which he needed last turn, saying hello. And Chriso, he gets to play item cards now. As long as Fatih don't have the retreat into Phantom, then use a Scansion to evolve. And even if he does, Chriso just needs to attack with Grenade Hammer again to take a knockout. Even though Fatih also gets the Bursting Balloon, Trevenant will well, the Safe Method will get knocked out, but his last Trevenant will also faint. So that will be so problematic, given that his Super Rod and Sacred Ash are already in the discard pile.
Yes, exactly. That the Grenade Hammer is happening regardless of what Fatih is actually promoting. If it's going to be a Phantom that is going to use Ascension, this one is going down right away. If it's a Shaman, that will allow Chriso to draw true price cards. So whatever he does, it's not in his favor.
Well, he got Bursting Balloon and the Phantom, so at least there is a chance. But the chance isn't really great.
Well, we know also that the number of Trevenants, and in particular the amount of cards in his deck, is very, very low. So he will have to make something happen immediately. He knows that in order to knock out Hoopa EX, Shaman EX, both on the bench, he'll need at least 5 turns of Silent Fear, and I don't see it happening in that short time frame.
Yeah, exactly. Even he also can only take the knockout here on the Safe Method EX if he gets the Bursting Balloon off, but then his last Travelant gets knocked out. So I don't really think that he is going for Attention. But if he doesn't, Chriso gets all his item back, so it's a very hard decision here. We see Fatih retreating, and let's see what's going to happen.
It is going to be Ascension, so preparing also maybe another Team Flare Grunt. I can't imagine him going for another Professor Sycamore. Judge at this point maybe also not as effective. So if you're Chriso right now, you're thinking, I might go and risk that just now, because I have a Seismitoad EX waiting on my bench. If I find another Rough Seas, I can heal off a lot of damage here. And if I prepare another Grenade Hammer Seismitoad EX, I don't think that Fatih can come back from this.
Yeah, Fatih is staring at his discard pile like, what resources did I use? Yeah, almost every. And we see his deck, it's only one Trevenant left, which we already knew.
And that's it.
And Ascension, he evolves into Trevenant, and this will be so hard for him to come by. Even though Chriso has a lot of damage left, he just takes the Grenade Hammer knockout. He still needs to put 30 damage on his bench Pokemon for the Grenade Hammer attack, which he just forgot. It doesn't make a big difference. However, Fatih now doesn't have any attacker left.
I was about to say he's out of Trevenant, so there's no way for him to recover, but there was a Trevenant in his prize card, so maybe a small window of hope for Fatih here, but there's no Phantom for him. This card doesn't get it in any case. It's only a Dimension Valley. So now all that's left to play is maybe a Judge, but even that, it's tough for him to come back into this match.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't play double colors energy cards. Other decks could now use Sky Return very often and then get damage this way. However, Fatih only has 5 energy cards, and Chrisowalantis is knocking out the Shaman X with only 1 hit from Grenade Hammer. He has Seismitoad with 2 energies active. He only needs 1 extra energy to attack with Grenade Hammer.
And now what are you doing? I mean, your odds of winning are very low, so you might as well take very, very risky plays. That might include, for example, using Lysandre to bring up that Hoopa EX, but at the same time, just 1 energy will allow Chriso to retreat. At the same time, there's no item lock, but you have to think about something, and Fatih has to come up with something now to be able to turn it around.
Yeah, exactly. Here we see them fixing the damage. Now everything on board is how it's supposed to be, and Fatih doesn't really have any winning option. However, he's still fighting. He didn't give up yet.
You have to give it to him. It's a Judge. So if there's no water energy and no possibility to draw for Chriso, that will mean that there's no Grenade Hammer. So that Shaman might stay for another day, for another turn here. However, no item lock. Remember, Chriso is free to play all the cards he has in hand.
Yeah, exactly. He has Trainer Mail. He just needs basically supporter. And here we see Fatih scooping the game.